Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Come on down and get your geek a gift at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the
How you doing?
Sci-Fi Center.
Sci-Fi Center.
You name it, we got it. Star Trek,
Going on.
Star Wars,
That's it.
Marvel, DC,
One
and
minute.
everything in
And in this location, I've been.
You know about this? That's pretty good. It's all trust.
Welcome to Daredevil Season 2,
the long delayed version because somebody almost dropped dead and died. He's okay now. He's with me. So we're gonna get started. Brad's gonna be your host for the most of it because thanks. I got some building to do, and I'm gonna mute myself so you don't hear a bunch of saw sounds coming or me cutting my hand off and screaming, so things like that. But yeah, we're going to start with season 2, episode 1. We're going to do episodes 1, 2, and 3. And guess what happens in episode 3, Brad? It's not a spoiler. It's been out.
There's a fight scene that's a lot like the raid in it.
Okay, let's try that again and start with something that somebody will actually recognize. Is a particular character shows up.
No, in episode 3, the Punisher.
Okay, geez. I thought you would have jumped out with that one. But yeah, Punisher makes his introduction into this Daredevil lore, and obviously this is really important because if we have enough time, we're going to do Punisher as well. But we're all this is leading, and the whole reason we're doing this is we're going into March 4th, and obviously you've seen those trailers. Punisher is very much in Daredevil Born again, one of the most appropriate characters that they did in this series. I've always told you that there's a lot of characters that they could have done without. Punisher is not one of them. So he is very, especially Frank Miller's version, which John Bernthal is, in my opinion. And this Daredevil is Frank Miller's Daredevil. So it's the most appropriate pairing. All right. So I am watching it on Disney Plus. I found a way to upgrade my membership so that we don't have any commercials. So there won't be any random stops. Brad, I just ask that you every now and then when you think of it, is just drop a timestamp for that random guy that hasn't found us yet. And that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and have you do the countdown in English, please, so that you know. Hold on for a second. My thing now. Once I have you do the countdown, my computer went to sleep on stupid Disney Plus.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the countdown in Braille. If that's even possible.
Okay, we're gonna skip. I'm skipping all the. I'm going right to the actual opening. All right. I'm at the Marvel logo. Ready when you are, Brad.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go. All right, I'll mute myself so I can help you guys out real quick.
So we are going to be seeing Punisher actually very early on here for those of you who haven't watched Daredevil yet. It's actually kind of related to the episode title, Bang. You'll find out what that's all about in a little bit here. There's old Hornhead again. I miss cough a fair amount tonight, guys, because I'm still getting over this. Yeah, I remember thinking this was a really awesome intro. After we'd seen season 1, and it's like kind of like now reintroduced to Daredevil proper. He's got the horns. He's back in the swing of things. I thought this was a pretty good way to restart the series. Yeah, it's kind of like that kitchen fight scene in the Raid 2. been a while since I've seen season 2 now that I think about it.
Let's limit the raid talk, buddy.
Why? I mean, there's a kitchen fight scene, and there's a kitchen fight scene to raid too, and this is
Okay, but for those of
overtly
you brand new
influenced by the
people
raid.
coming on, unless you've seen the raid, you are lost in the woods. Brad's not even leaving you breadcrumbs. He's just saying the raid.
That was a great still right here too. Him, in the church there with all the candles behind him.
The candle, yeah, that's a cool.
Yeah,
That's
that
actually
is
when you
cool.
look at the comic. There's actually a picture in the comic that mirrors this. It's neat.
Yeah, they do that a lot in this season. They pull a lot of famous Daredevil images,
Especially with the Punisher. Like I said, you guys read Child's Play. It's one of Daredevil's, or in fact, I think it's his first encounter with the Punisher.
Well, there's one in the in episode 3 in the hallway fight when he's got the gun taped to his hand and he points it. Like what cover is that pulled from? I forget. I'll point out when we get to that.
Okay.
Well, you know the one I'm talking about, there, right? The cover of him pointing the gun.
Yeah. We did that. Remember when we brought that up? You brought up the picture and I brought up the comic. I actually had the comic. I sold that comic since then, but
yeah, I'll talk about that more when we get to that.
That's one of my favorite runs that's to me, that's the definitive run of Daredevil. That's why you have this show. You have this show because of that run.
Hello, sis. Rain.
Stop being creepy.
Yeah. There's a fair amount of that too, by the way, in season 3 when we get there. Just heads up.
That's gonna drive me crazy. I just sold something off my right there. I got to go replace that.
What was that you just sold?
He's coming back for it. He bought it. Galactus.
Oh, okay.
One of my coolest variants I have on the thing.
All right, look, Cable, making healthy life choices. By the way, like everybody, this is of course Eldon Henson playing Foggy Nelson. My intro, like much of my generation to him, was as Fulton Reed in the Mighty Ducks movies. Did somebody get hurt there?
Yeah, I spilled some shit. A lot of shit. Stupid light. I hate this fucking light. Wow, that really fucked up.
That's actually something that line there I've always kind of wondered. Yeah, what would be the best case scenario if he was, if they found out about Matt's vigilante activities and Foggy says like best case scenario you just get disbarred.
Well, he did.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too, Aaron.
He would have perjury issues because some of the stuff that he's done in court under the guise of Matt Murdock. He's answered the questions directly in regards to cases that he's involved in that he would end up being held accountable for. So yeah, it would be a problem for him.
By the way, I don't know if you remember this, but season 2, because this is 2016 when it came out, and it was a little bit up in the air. We knew it was coming out in March, but it was a little bit up in the air, like exactly when. And of course, Batman v Superman, that came out March 25th that year. And I think at one point it was rumored this was going to drop that day. But it ended up being like a week earlier on March 18th. I was able to see the screeners of the first half of season 2, like 2 weeks beforehand, whatever it was. So, but that still left me with the second half. So once that dropped on the 18th, so I made sure I blasted through like all of that weekend. So I was fully in BVS mode by the next weekend.
I watched the season I watched it one episode a week when it first came out.
Yeah.
I just wasn't really doing the binge thing. I still don't, for the most part.
Yeah.
Even with Stranger Things, which is my favorite show from Netflix, I watch them weekly.
Well, I mean, that's going to change now with Born Again. That's going to be weekly now.
Yeah.
And that's 9 episodes, right?
Appearance of the Punisher.
Yeah. First appearance, he was a Spider-Man villain.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of characters that go on to be more associated with Punisher started out as Spider-Man villains, it seems.
It's generally between Fantastic Four, Avengers, and Spider-Man. Those are where you get a lot of your major villains in the early 60s, mid 70s.
Actually, I guess I think I might ask this the other night, but because I was thinking more about this, where like you've talked about like John Bernthal's portrayal of the Punisher. That's like the definitive live action Punisher for you, and it's like the other ones like don't even stack up. The Thomas Jane and Dolph Lundgren and Ray Stevenson. And I was thinking a bit more about that, and do you think a big reason for that might be the fact that he's introduced in Daredevil and he's introduced in a world, Bernthal's version is introduced, as because the whole idea of Punisher is that he's supposed to be a contrast character. The whole concept of him is that he partakes in methods and does things that you would never see Spider-Man do or Daredevil do or Captain America do. And so with Bernthal, like right from the jump, you have him to bounce off of Daredevil, and with Lundgren and Jane and Stevenson, because each of them, they all, exist in worlds, without other heroes. So because they don't have that contrast of having like a Daredevil or a Spider-Man, does that kind of play into that maybe?
Majorly. And the reason why, and like I said, that's why I always say that those other guys are not bad Punishers. Their atmosphere and the story that comes along with John Bernthal, and then having Daredevil to bounce that off makes his version the only version for me that's actually the Punisher, because it brings Daredevil back to that edge of how can I do this when I'm not really willing to cross that line. And Punisher represents that in every superhero that he meets up against. And you have to have that. You have to have, because otherwise Punisher's just a vigilante. He basically becomes a generic vigilante.
He's like almost like an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of character, which is like, this is like, he blows people's heads off and things like that, which is like, that's, you see that in action movies like all the time, but because you don't have, that kind of that yin yang quality of like, there are these other heroes in his world that recoil at his methods. So it's, that's why I say like the Punisher, he's meant to be a contrast character. And when you don't have characters like Daredevil to contrast him against, then it's like you kind of like lose a little bit of like the essence of Punisher, because it's like, again, he the whole thing with him is like he goes the extra mile. He goes where these other guys won't. But with Lundgren, Jane, Stevenson, they go where who won't go. It's like they don't have anybody to be the darker version of heroism or vigilantism for.
And what he does is all those people that he's ever been on the page with, whether it be Spider-Man, Captain America, Daredevil, those guys have always ran up against situations. Ouch, this is gonna suck. That they have, they may, should they kill this person, or this person's about to kill a whole bunch of people. I don't want to kill this guy. I don't really want to mortally wound this guy, but he's about to kill a bunch of people. Or Punisher skips to that chase. Punisher answers that question for them, for himself at least, and it makes them rethink how they do things, especially with Daredevil. Daredevil even before Punisher was constantly, going up against what do I do? Even Stick brought that to him. I mean, how are you going to be the protector of the city when you're not willing to do what needs to be done in his eyes? So, yeah, that
and you see a bit of that in the season too, with as we get a little bit deeper into it. It's not in any of these episodes tonight, but I got to point out when we get to it. But yeah, that thought kind of occurred to me when when you had said it's like Bernthal's like he's the only like pure representation of the Punisher, and his predecessors don't really capture that, and that's what I think a big part of that is because he has baked into his origins something that they just fundamentally they didn't have, which is other Marvel heroes for him to be the guy who will get his hands dirty in a way that they won't.
Yeah, Zen, the yin to their yang is what he is. And you just have to have that, in my opinion. You absolutely have to have that in order to tell a Punisher story. That's why Punisher's evolution as a character evolves as a guest star before he goes on his own, because they had to establish that so that he could thrive in that way.
So do you think that was like the three movies that came previously? Now maybe this might have been a little bit more feasible when Warzone came out, because that was the same year as Iron Man and Incredible Hulk. But do you think that just making a Punisher movie at all at that time when you didn't have the cinematic universe apparatus, do you think that was kind of like a misguided decision?
Well, to not have somebody that is a contrast to what he is doing, even if you didn't have a complete cinematic universe, you needed to have at least one other hero that does it. This is the superhero way. This is the moral code, the established moral code, the do-gooder code, and then to make it, because otherwise it's just like any other generic vigilante movie. That's the difference between a Punisher movie, because like I said, the Punisher was brought in to fit into an environment that consists of superheroes. At least one. It doesn't have to be the entire MCU, but it needed to be one so that those codes contrast.
Yeah, so that was something I've been kind of pondering recently. And again, I think Stevenson, he was the only one because when Warzone came out in 2008, so that's very, very, very early MCU, but still that was, by that point we kind of had a little bit of a taste of seeing these characters cross over with each other, like the way they do in the comics. So there was at that point, albeit very, very early on, there was some kind of vision in the popular consciousness of the idea of the Punisher, interacting with their Marvel heroes, and of course now we're getting his first big kind of a mafia kill here. Aaron's oh, the food makes me so hungry in Daredevil. Aaron, I'm telling you, there's no better food porn. There's no better food porn than the dinner scene in Hook. That's the best food porn ever. And actually, also kind of it's a little bit of an offshoot of that. Because again, Bernthal, he's he gets his own show, but of course his introduction is on Daredevil. So, exactly. Do you think that that's the kind of the ideal way to introduce any version of the Punisher is have that backdoor pilot sort of method of he meets Daredevil or Spider-Man and has a crossover story with them, and then he spins off into his own story?
Well, it's worked. I mean, it's the way he came in the comics, because obviously he appears in 129 of Amazing Spider-Man, but his next couple of appearances are in other books, mainly Daredevil. Now, the thing is about that, and it's the same problem you're going to have when you first see Frank Castle. It's a hollow type character. It's just a dude with a gun. There's nothing to him. The substance that becomes Frank Castle and the Punisher comes from his environment. as he interacts with these characters, you start to get a more defined picture of what he is. And that's once they did that, once you had Frank Miller's Devil and you had you had the early 180s and you had Punisher's appearances and Child Play and all that. A few years later now, you have the Punisher miniseries by Mike Zeck, which really established him as a solo character. The very next year in 1987, you had the Punisher ongoing series, and that would go on to War Journal and all those things. But yeah, but even then, he would interact with Wolverine. He's got in my opinion, he can only exist in those early stages with other superheroes involved. Once he's established that way, now it becomes a technical thing. Okay, so if you like weapons and bombs and stuff, he the way they wrote Punisher in the early days, he was explaining to you what Kevlar does, what Teflon coated bullets do, things like that. Now you can go into that, but to establish him as somebody you could spend $1 on or two, it had to happen the way it happened, and I think that's why Barenthal's Punisher, to me, is the only version of Punisher that's actually the Punisher. Those other guys are just vigilantes with guns and a skull.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, like you were saying there, like his intro on this show also. Again, he's Punisher as kind of the whole idea of Punisher is still developing. Like he doesn't have the skull, initially when we meet him here, but he's still functioning as the Punisher. He's still, he's got his crime fighting philosophy is already in place. He's got his methods in place, and it's the persona that's still kind of evolving here.
What Punisher is at the core, he's a Marine infantryman. He's a Force Recon guy, so he's already a dangerous individual before he becomes a Punisher. Frank Castle, the Marine captain, is already a deadly individual to begin with. Once he loses his family, that's when he becomes his decision making and his set of morals makes him even more dangerous. He's already a trained killer from the day as being a Marine. And he's already, as a Force Recon Marine, he has everything you see him used and utilized as a Punisher. He already has that as Captain, Frank Castle. But as the Punisher, his mentality is what's different. So that's
Aaron,
that's part of the revelation.
Aaron and Matt sitting in a tree. That's my sis. That's my sis. Her
The whole sister thing. I'm just gonna start muting you.
Well, so what would you say is like as far as for like people watching or maybe you're like know of the Punisher, where like are not as like necessarily as like deep into Punisher lore. Like if you were to like liken Frank Castle to like any other like kind of like popular vigilante character or soldier character, what have you, like who would you say is like kind of like the closest parallel as like a non-Marvel character to Frank Castle? Like I can see a little bit of Rambo.
To be honest with you, without the superhero prior,
Yeah.
he is everyone you could think of. He is John Wick. He is, but not on the ninja scale. He is anybody that David Ayer would write. You know what I mean? Without that interaction, he can pretty much I could compare him to just about all those. It's just their cause is different. They're out, there is nobody else like him in the sense of his strategic killing. Whereas, okay, you take the beekeeper or you take the worker or whatever you want to call the same character that Ayer's going to give us for the next 10 Statham movies, which is fine. That person, there's something that happens that person goes after those particular people, right? Frank, with Punisher that's not it. He's already got those people that killed his family. He's going after criminals. He's targeting criminals for being criminals. So the initial rage that you would compare him to with any of the other vigilantes that's gone. He killed those people. He's on to killing other people. He's on to killing people,
Like I think you could almost like kind of liken it to like his philosophy is kind of like comparable to almost like the war on terror. And his is like the war on like organized crime.
Yeah, preemptive strikes, and he uses his strategy. He uses a military strategy to kill these people and military weapons.
Well, that's why I said I can like almost see like a little bit of like a Rambo influence in him, because I remember the author, why is his name escaping me? The author of the original First Blood novel. He had talked about the idea of with Vietnam vets, they were people were recruited. He went to the military and like taught to guerrilla warfare and taught all military tactics, and then we bring them home and like he the way he put it was like never quote unquote detrained them, but we also were kind of like leaving Vietnam vets just kind of by the wayside, and the idea of like what if we
we're doing that now. We do that
Yeah,
now. Anytime you send a Marine or a soldier into you, they have to have a certain amount in order to be successful. A Marine is a killer. Everything's an and they are a killing machine. So and they have to be that and effective. Not everything that the Army or military or Marines turns into a killing machine, it becomes unhinged. Frank Castle became unhinged because his family got started apart.
Yeah,
if that doesn't happen, he's probably just a regular. He deserted the military to go killing people. So he probably retires as a colonel or a general or something like that. But so he was a killing machine, but he wasn't just some untriggered, time bomb waiting to happen.
Yeah,
something
that's
happened.
That's where I said I see like a little bit of like a shade of Rambo in him, and the idea that if his skill set is kind of like turned back on the society that he came from.
Well, Rambo had PTSD. Frank Castle had PTSD after his family was killed. Rambo had PTSD because of Vietnam War. He'd been a POW. He escaped. I mean, so when First Blood happened, he's basically being reminded of what he went through in Vietnam. Well, if Frank Castle's family doesn't get killed, Frank Castle probably ends up just being a normal dude. Being a consultant, probably a retired military guy sitting on his front porch with a beer. But Rambo was a ticking time bomb. Somebody was going to fuck with Rambo someday, and he was going to kill him. That was just those poor people in that small town fucking the wrong guy and the wrong day.
By the way, anybody who's like, if you've read the original novel, First Blood, it's Rambo's. He's far more unhinged in that than he is in any of the movies, and he's very unhinged in the movies. But
and he's far more dangerous. Rambo is a Green Beret.
Yeah,
Rambo is in the upper Force Recon. It's a high percentage. And they're very deadly. Don't get me wrong. The Green Beret, that's up higher up special ops. That's 1 percentile of the Army type of situation. If that many, that's Navy SEAL level. I mean, Force Recon is special forces, but it's not that tier 1. Tier 1 is what it was. Delta Force, PJ Rescuers, those guys, Navy SEALs, and Green Berets. Under that, you have the Rangers, you have the but Rambo was significantly dangerous because he was in that upper 1 percentile of killers.
Yeah,
that's why those cops.
That's why those cops are shitting bricks when they find out about his military background. They think he's just like a
when Colonel Chapman.
Yeah,
when Colonel Chapman shows up and he says, "I'm not here for Rambo's protection. I'm
here to protect you from him."
Yeah, and he's one of those dudes that does not need a weapon. Remember, Rambo didn't get his hand on firearms in First Blood until midway through the movie? He's killing people and maiming people with wood, with spikes and shit.
Actually, also kind of bringing it back to, Frank's military background, because you mentioned he's a Marine in the comics. Is there, what is like maybe for people who aren't as well versed in Punisher lore, like what like are there any other like big like military like decoration that he has, or any getting distinguishing background that he has?
He had the Navy Cross. He had his Bronze Star. I think he had all the battle ribbons that you would have as a Vietnam captain. He was a platoon leader. He was as a captain. He would have been a company commander. So, at the time of he was actually on active duty when his family was killed, and that's the first crime Frank Castle ever commits, is that he does not return back to active duty once he just goes AWOL. So he's technically a deserter. But yeah, he's
AIDS a lot.
Just the fact that he's just the fact that he's a Force Recon Marine, that's a dangerous individual right there. William, I thought Delta Force was higher than Green Berets. Okay, so what Delta Force is developed, DevGru, those guys, they draw from all over the military. Green Berets are most of them Green Berets is a different form because it's anti-terrorism, hostage, all that kind of stuff. Green Berets missions are mainly, they attack, they do a lot of that stuff. But when you're talking Green Berets, a lot of the times they'll go into a foreign country and they'll train the other forces. Like in Vietnam, the Green Berets were the ones that trained the South Vietnamese army. When you go into Afghanistan, the Green Berets are the ones that train up and train those guys. They also carry out tactical missions and things like that. Delta Force is strictly hostage rescue, target pickup, and I'll give you an example. Black Hawk Down. Randy Shugart and Gary Gordon. The word hero is ever to be labeled. It's those two gentlemen. And Black Hawk Down, they're the guys that are in the helicopters that rope down and save Michael Durant, and themselves were killed and they were awarded the Medal of Honor. They were there to get Muhammad Adid, one of his lieutenants. So what they do is they come in, they get targeted people, they do rescue, they do hostage rescue, but they can do just about anything. But they're a more finite, covert type of situation. Green Berets, from my understanding in the Army, is that those guys they're all that. They're the best upper 1 percentile of soldiers, but their mission is different. They're going to go in there. They're going to be in small units. They're going to be training. When in Iraq, they were the ones that helped set up their Iraqi army and trained their special forces people. And they're strategically there. But Delta Force is more straight up offense and rescue type of situation. So, and Rangers are high up there, but Rangers are more of a regiment. Rangers are more of a collective fighting force. There's you have whole Ranger regiments and things like that. They're a higher, they're up there, but they're not as focused strategically as the tier 1 elements are. I believe Frank was a Raider. He was special forces. He was a Force Recon, and many people would consider Force Recon to be the Marines version of special forces. I read reports that it was Force Recon and the Marine Raiders were trained. Everybody did. You had JSOC, which is the Joint Special Operations Command. They were all on board. When you go over in theater, they were all. You had Army Green Berets training those guys, and you have submarines that helped them with certain. You got to remember, whenever you go to a theater war, we're all there. Air Force is there, Navy is there, the Coast Guard is there, the National Guard, the Army Reserve. We're all there, and a lot of the missions are over the same. When you say the Marine Raiders that train the armies, it was both of them. It was all of them. But when you're standing up a Marine force, you're going to use Marines. When you're standing up an infantry, you can use Marines, but you can also use 11 Bravos. So a lot of times when you go to these training operations, whether it's special forces or just BRM, range, or anything like that, when we deployed out, when we did our training at Fort Irwin in Camp Pendleton, we had Air Force people there with us, we had Army people with us, we had Marines with us. So once you get into a situation like this, we all kind of come together. But no, it was all the above, Anthony.
And Daredevil kicking ass.
Frank and Rambo suffered from PTSD from the war they fought in, but Steve did from World War II because that was more violent. World War II and Vietnam were not the same. And the type of fighting that Steve was in, he wasn't a frontline infantryman like that. And he wasn't in the war battalion. I mean, that was a different war. And the country was 100% behind World War II. The country views World War II differently than they view other wars. Vietnam, not only were you dealing with a much more vicious opponent, there were no rules of engagement. The things that those guys went through were different than the other wars we fought before and since then. And once again, Rank Castle did not have PTSD. Rambo did, because Rambo was a POW. Rambo, killed so much in Vietnam that he was desensitized. Once you turned Rambo on, there was no turning him off. He was literally a weapon. Frank Castle was just he was in force recon, but nothing had happened to him to that level until his family was killed. So that's the difference between Rambo and
Well, it's kind of like that
Frank Castle.
again the line that Troutman has in First Blood, like God didn't make Rambo, I made him. But there's also that's partially true, but there's also Vietnam made Rambo. In the sense that it made him, the fact that he became that again, once you turn him on, you can't turn him off. And then with Frank Castle, the contrast is again, like you said, like he would have just retired and been a family man, like and just lived a normal life, had other than his family being killed the way they were, and it's like that's the key event that sets him off.
Yeah.
So these
Rambo was already going to be set off. Rambo's setting off was inevitable. What happened to Frank Castle is he was wounded, and his entire family was wiped out. That's a traumatic effect, even without being a force recon Marine, without being in Vietnam. That's something that might fuck up anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot how much they hold off on Punisher. Like actually showing Punisher in season 2. It's been a while since I've seen it. Frank Castle was just
it's been a while since I've seen it.
Dissolution with a post-military life.
Not interacting. He was at the park with his family having a picnic, and there was a mob hit, and they did it in front of him, so they didn't want any witnesses, so they shot at him and his family.
Yeah, I mean, with his origin, really kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of boils down. He's just the wrong place, wrong time.
Literally, the wrong place, the wrong time. Yep.
Yeah. And that actually, that's kind of something they go bring it back to the other Punishers, because they definitely hold true to Frank's military background, with John Bernthal's portrayal, but they rework aspects of his origin. In the other, like Dolph Lundgren, he wasn't even Marine. I think he was a cop actually in the Dolph Lundgren movie.
Yeah, we don't even bring that one up.
And Thomas Jane, he was I think he had a military background, but I think at that point he was like a CIA guy or something. And then they don't go too much, I think, into what branch Stevenson was, but his was probably the closest out of the three of them as far as like as far as the origin. And again, that's probably another byproduct of the fact that the original three, they're taking place in worlds without other superheroes. So that if you're going to do like a Punisher like that, that kind of necessitates, okay, there's a reworking of the Punisher origin, but then the flip side of that is also you're kind of like taking a lot of the essence of Punisher out with that. And then William froze.
It's been a while since I've watched it. It's been like 9 years since I think I'm 8 years.
Yeah. Been a minute, yeah. Well, like I said, it dropped the week before Batman v Superman. So, and again, I think there was at one point where I think it was rumored they were going to drop on the same day. So I definitely was once it dropped, and I already seen the first half. So I made sure that weekend I just sped through the rest of it because I was like, okay, I want to see it all now, but then get it all down, and then so I can fully shift into BVS mode by the following Thursday.
See, my mind was like, yeah, I'm already in BVS mode. Once I saw Man of Steel, I was like, dude, I can't wait till the next one. I mean, like I said, people like to make me think I was in a minority, but
Would Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, be a better comparison to Rambo, William?
No. Bucky Barnes was brainwashed.
Yeah,
he was manipulated. He was brainwashed and turned into an assassin. That's different. Rambo was, but he was. And it eroded. Once you can desensitize yourself to killing like that, it becomes easier. I've heard guys who comes a number to you. Once you take the name and face off of your target, you're the border between just a random killer. But Rambo was trained. He was Green Beret type that would go in and get high value targets. So if there was a Viet Cong general or a Viet Cong upper level officer, guys like Rambo come in the night and cut throats. Game and gone until they really found their dead general or their dead colonel. That's what Rambo was. That's why he was able to sneak up on people like he was. Rambo, the novelization, he's done with a knife.
Yeah,
Done with a knife. That was getting shot. Remember, he was throwing that carbon knife at people, and he was hitting people. And Rambo too, when he hits that one dude, that one Viet Cong, he hits that dude from like quite a way away and gets him in the throat. And I'm like, wow. How much of that is Hollywood, and how much of that is how many people?
There's a lot of Hollywood Rambo. Let's also be like, he's like holding a machine
it's because
like spraying with one arm, and
you have the 160 when that's not happening.
That'd be probably a pretty fun watch party. Like I think we lost William there, and his internet was a little bit wonky. I'll come back in a second. That'd probably be a pretty fun watch party, like from like a military perspective. Like it's like get like a bunch of like actual Green Berets, like watch the Rambo movies, and they just like pick apart like all the how much of this is actually fictionalized. Here we are in this meat house with these guys on meat hooks. Daredevil investigating. Okay, William's back. Yeah, I said when you lost you for a second, that'd probably be like kind of a pretty fun watch party, like a bunch of military guys to like do a watch along of the Rambo movies, just like pick apart like, okay, here's where everything is like bullshit.
Well, I'd have to get some special ops guys because you know what? I don't know what those guys are ghosts, man. Some of those guys are you might find out that Hollywood doesn't do what they are justice.
Man,
you know what I mean? Some of these guys are the best killers in the world. I mean, you don't want these guys coming after you. That's why Bin Laden, I see Team 6, Bin Laden's hiding, not even using email, and they still found his ass and capped him. And what is it? Captain Phillips. Remember the ship where the snipers were on one ship?
Yeah.
And you see the small window of targets that they had to shoot all three of those guys.
That's pretty good. I
that just wasn't a movie. They did that shit. They fired and got headshots off of 3 individuals on a moving barge from a moving ship that they were on. So they were moving and the target was moving. They fired 3 rounds, killed 3 men, headshots from quite a distance away at night. That's scary. Those kind of guys, I don't need in my life if I'm a bad guy.
Actually, by the way, kind of an interesting story too. It's Green Beret related. We brought the show has come up on here once or twice. I was really into back when it was Spike TV, the show Deadliest Warrior. Where they compare like what if a Spartan fought a ninja and that kind of thing, and they put in a computer simulator. And the 3rd season, they had this one guy who was like running the computer simulation on it, and he they list like all the guys in there, their backgrounds. Like this guy was like has this military background, this guy's in this branch of medicine or what have you. And the computer guy they had on season 3, he was listed as a former Green Beret. And then I guess somebody did some digging and found out the guy's like, no, he consulted, with the Green Berets. He was like a tech expert, but he was never like actually active duty. And I was thinking like, oh man, I can't believe he thought he was going to get away with that. Like describing himself as a Green Beret. Wow. Yeah, I remember reading about that. Like there was one guy who was like dug into that story and said he was quoted as saying like being a Green Beret is like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't.
Yeah, there's no
like, oh, I was like affiliated with the Green Berets, so that counts kind of thing. No, it's like
yeah, that's why I always say I was an Army loser. I was a nobody in the Army. I never say I'm anything more than I am. Because it's too easy to find that shit out. And plus, it's kind of disgraceful when you do it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's a term for it. It's called stolen valor.
Stolen valor. It's actually a crime.
Yeah,
you can actually be charged with that.
It's a
Yeah, because
federal
again,
crime too, so you got
I
that
can't
on
believe
your
he thought he was going to get away with that, though. Because again, it's like they can track these things pretty easily. Hell, I mean, even like not even just like the Department of Defense. I mean, there's this thing called Google now. Yep, that's called stolen valor. It's one man. Yeah, I forgot how much they really hold off on Frank in season 2, as far as like having him like properly on screen. But it's good. It's good. It's a it's a good way to build up to the Punisher. I think he's not properly the Punisher yet. And by the way, Bernthal, he's also going to be. I mean, obviously, we're going to be seeing him in Daredevil Born again pretty soon here, but he's also going to be back with Ben Affleck in The Accountant 2 later this year. That's one they were talking for the longest time about doing a sequel. It's like, I never thought that really happened, but here we are.
About the county.
Yeah. The Bernthal thing. Again,
it's funny the connection there because Ben Affleck plays the worst version of Daredevil I've ever seen, and Bernthal plays the best Punisher. It's kind of like full circle, you know.
Well, just think of it as like okay, it's a team of a Batman and Punisher.
Ugh.
We got some incidents in Stolen Valley here in Australia. Yeah. That's unfortunate when guys do that. But again, it's also really, again, these things are very traceable. So it's like, why? It's like you would think don't. Yeah.
Because the DDO, I mean, everybody's going to have access to your DD-214. That's that the government can get that in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
If they suspect that you're doing something like that, they can get it in like a keystroke. So I don't know why anybody would ever do that. Maybe they think people would never say anything. I don't know, but
I mean, it's like if I say right now, it's like I served like 2 tours in in Iraq and another 2 in Afghanistan, and I was a Green Beret. It's like they could. I mean, they'll find out tomorrow. It's like, yeah, I'm bullshitting everybody. That would be the case if I. And let me be clear. It's like, no,
well,
I did not serve any such tours.
They would know within the hour.
Yeah. Yeah, so you would think the guys, like making bullshitting about this, like they would, they would be more attuned to that. And we're about to find out here why this episode is called Bang. That was a good way to end that episode. I'm just going to jump right into the next episode.
Oh, that went over already?
Yeah.
All right. Dogs into a gunfight. I'm at 06. Did you already just go?
Not yet. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah. So countdown. All right. 3,
Oh.
2, 1, go.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm at the
All right.
Marvel side. You can go.
All
I've
right.
already hit play.
3, 2, and go. All right. Here we go. Anthony has a question for William. William, what I don't think normal civilians realize how hard it is for a soldier to adjust to civilian life after what they've been through. I mean, yeah, there's definitely examples of that.
Yeah. Yeah, me, I had
That's
no
why
issue, but I didn't go through what a lot of those guys did. A lot of it is when you're going through that, you have a community around you of guys that are going through it with you. When you reintegrate to the civilian, if you get out of the military, then you've lost that brotherhood, and it's a lot harder for a lot of guys, no matter what they've been through.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of like like bring it back to Rambo. I mean, like his, in the first movie, his big monologue where he says like back in the war, back in Vietnam, it's like I was in charge of tanks and $1 million equipment. Back here, I came to hold a job parking cars. So it's I mean, there's definitely the the harrowing aspect of like dealing with the violence of war, but there's also, again, there's this sense of camaraderie that's present in the military in a way that's just not in civilian life. It's really unfortunate. By the way, too, interesting thing also about the Daredevil cowls, that it looks to me like it's basically made of like the same material, has kind of like the same overall designs like the Captain America cowl. So I don't know if that was like intentional, but it's kind of
Probably
like
from the same designer too. They all
yeah.
look like
It's funny too with Captain America because he has his own. I mean, obviously all these characters, like from movie to movie or show to show or season to season, their costumes evolve. You can see that with Daredevil, and we also saw that with Captain America, and specifically with the wings on the sides of his cowl, where he had them in First Avenger and the Avengers. That's where I thought they were most on point. But then, like somewhere around Civil War, the way they were designed there, now every time I see those now, I just see a couple of golf clubs on the sides of his head. Now I don't see wings anymore. I'll pull that up right now, kind of like show you guys what I'm talking about. By the way, also, and they seem to be portraying this pretty well, but if you're, and I'm sure, yeah, William, you can talk about this too, but when you have, when you're wearing body armor, like Kevlar, wearing bulletproof, stuff, it's like it'll stop the bullet, but you still feel the impact. Even if it's like covering your head, it's like you still feel like you feel the hit that bullet, it leaves you with. So you're getting bruises and you're getting impact one way or another. Yeah, no. He took a hit there. That's a good line. Blood is being shed. You donated more than your fair share of the cause. Okay, yes. Here's what I'm talking about, guys. With Captain America's wings on his cowl. Like, look at this is in First Avenger there. You can see his wings right here. And let me see what I can find from the Avengers. And that's Matt Salinger's too. Yeah, okay, here we go. I think you can see it here. Yeah, you see his wings right here. And see, they're and both of those are very definitively wing-like. On the cowl and his initial couple of cowls, and now I think it was it might have been Age of Ultron actually where I started noticing this. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, look at those. Yeah, from this point on, I just see a couple of golf clubs on the sides of his head. That's just a me thing. I don't know. I just found that kind of you see a little bit more here. Look at that. They took the wings. They just made them golf clubs. They just made them 9 irons. So you see these superhero costumes evolve from season to season or movie to movie, but yeah, that was one with Captain America that I didn't really quite latch onto as much because like those wings were so prominent initially. They just kind of like took him like just sort of watered him down as it went along. And by the way, it's a lot of again, like maybe where it's like I got hit with what I'm calling an atomic flu about 2 weeks ago, and then I had the flu that week, which is also when my birthday was, and then last week I'm calling it like a flu hangover, where I had a lot of just fatigue and a lot of lightheadedness and dizziness, and my voice is even still kind of coming back. I'm pretty much over it now, but man, that was that. I really got bitch slapped those 2 weeks there. It was fun. It was fun. And by that I mean it was not fun. I read an article that said Anthony Mackie didn't like the Captain America cowl, so they removed it. Oh, that's interesting. I know. I think his suit is pretty true to the Sam Wilson Captain America suit. That's interesting too, because I've seen like a lot of people like kind of go back and forth on like Grace Randolph. I saw her talking about this earlier, like him having the wing, and I don't mean like the wings here. I mean like the flying wings, from the Falcon suit. And I guess people are kind of 50-50 on that because it's like, oh, okay, it's a kind of like a cool new addition, but also for some people, it's just like once he breaks those out, it's just like it's hard to see him as Captain America. They just keep seeing him as Falcon. I can see it either way. That's actually, William. That's another thing too with the officer here, kind of talking about it. Where I don't think that's something that the other Punisher movies really got into as much as is how kind of polarized the police are on the activities of the Punisher. Because for half of them, he's a vigilante. He's taking the law into his own hands. He's he's using very violent, murderous methods, and he's very much acting outside the law. And then the other half of the force is like, yeah, but he's going after guys that we know are guilty, but we just can't get the goods on them. So, and as this guy says, he's making our lives like easier. What's that?
The problem is that Frank Castle hates the police.
Yeah. But I'm saying is like that's something that the I don't know, the preceding versions like got into as much either as the kind of how divided the police themselves are on the Punisher's activities. Again, I mean, the superhero community is very much like, at best they'll cooperate with him whenever they have to take down common enemies. And, for the police, it's like, there are a lot of cops that want to lock him up, but there's others that like are happy to look the other way. Because again, he's going after mob bosses and whatnot that that they know are guilty, but they just can't get any hard evidence on them. And yeah, I think that kind of goes into what you were saying about like contrasting Bernthal's version to the others, is that you don't get like the full kind of Punisher package if you don't have him. Again, he's a contrast character. You kind of need him to be able to bounce off of Daredevil and Spider-Man and whatnot to like really get the essence of his philosophy and the way he operates.
Yeah, well, Frank Castle truly is.
Yeah. For those who've seen Brave New World, what are your thoughts on the new Falcon? That he was not a highlight for me.
I'm not a big fan of sidekicks in general, but
yeah,
he served his purpose in the movie.
Again, I was very mad on the movie as a whole. So, and yeah, the new Falcon wasn't really like part of the highlight reel for me as far as like the stronger points of it. And the end credits scene is like, you could skip this end credit scene. I mean, you definitely could. I mean, it's and a bigger threat is coming. I mean, that's literally what it amounts to. It's like, hey, watch out! I might be defeated, but the big guy is on his way. 2-3 movies down the road. So, I mean, it's not like any like massive cameo or anything. So, you haven't seen Brave New World yet.
Yeah, it got the conversation started on that topic for people who were laymen, but for us geeks, yeah, it wasn't as But you got to realize, like I said, after reminding myself that we're 3% of the entire movie-going population that this movie depends on. So they made the multiverse to them is still something that's forming in their heads.
Yeah. For us geeks, there might as well have not been an end credit scene.
Yeah, I could have gone to the bathroom.
And by the way, there's only one too. There's no mid-credit scene. There's just an end credit scene in Brave New World. So for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So if you absolutely have to stick around, okay, like you could go during the credits and then come back and see the end credits scene. But even then, it's like I think it's like it's just a like, hey, here comes next bad guy on the way. Aaron's seen it because it leaked on social media. Well, I mean that happens. It's kind of to be expected anyway.
It's like a given these days. It's just going to leak, which kind of sucks for the really good ones. So people who want to like really be wowed and surprised, you got to stay off the internet.
I remember actually when Age of Ultron came out, there was a fake one because that was when Age of Ultron came out. That was about the time when they had like brokered the whole Sony MCU deal, and I think by that point, Tom Holland, if he wasn't cast yet, he was close to being cast, like right when Age of Ultron was coming out. And there was this fake elite end credit scene that had Spider-Man at the end of it that went on social media, but it was really well done. It was really well composed, where it looked legit.
Yeah. I remember being how excited I was to see him in Civil War. I didn't realize what a lackey they would turn him into. And I was so disappointed. I mean, they treated him like oh my God. That was one of the few things I did not. His appearance and him swinging around and fighting was kind of cool. But when the whole Mr. Stark thing was starting, I'm like, oh no, is he going to be a lapdog? Mr. Stark! Mr. Stark!
And we got to No Way Home. It's like we made it.
Yeah, it took a long time to get to where we needed to start with. Luckily, Tom Holland doesn't age, so we still got a little guy to
That's
play
true,
with.
yeah. How old is he now? Well, he's like 28.
Yeah.
And you know who else doesn't age, even though this recent watch ad he's doing, certain detractors are trying to convince people he ages, is Henry Cavill. No, he doesn't age.
Yeah.
The dude looks as good as he did right when we heard he was going to be Superman.
Ask the MILF if he ages.
Exactly. I think it's kind of because he let his hair kind of come out a little bit. And it's like Henry, he's got a fairly bushy head of hair when he lets it grow out. So I think that's a little bit part of it. But it's like, no, he doesn't look like he's aged a day. Aaron says he was Iron Man Jr. Spider-Man was Iron Man Jr. I mean, kind of was.
That's pretty much what he was. That's why I never want to. If Miles Morales ever does go to the MCU, it still needs to be a Sony-controlled character. Lord and Miller still need to be writing those stories and producing those little movies.
Anthony asked William, when you were in the Army, did you make it all the way up to Rangers, Green Berets, or Delta, or were you a normal grunt?
I'm a normal. I wasn't even a grunt. I wouldn't even put me that high. I wasn't in the infantry. I was just a normal transportation soldier. Yeah, I was a nobody.
Which is why, if you were to market yourself on here, it's like I was a Green Beret. It's like again, half an hour later, you get a cease and desist from the Department of Defense.
No, I would get charges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't. I still to this day I can't believe that guy thought he was going to get away with that. I'm going to say I'm a Green Beret when I wasn't. I'm going to go on national television and say that. Another thing too, also with Bernthal, that I think is kind of I don't know how intentional this was, but I think this is kind of a nice touch to kind of again emphasize his military background, as he still kind of maintains his crew cut, and that kind of suggests that he's started.
Yeah.
That he's
still.
Go ahead.
I know those giddy guys. I know in soldiers and Marines, you can spot them in a crowd with that fucking high and tight, man. I just walk up to them and ask them, Marines or Jarhead, which one were you? And then they'll tell me.
Yeah.
Well, even if they don't have any hair, they won't have no hair left. The last hair that they have on their head, they got that high and tight, boy.
Well, and I think that was a nice touch because it kind of suggests that he's still, even though he's gone into a vigilante life, he's still kind of maintaining sort of his, as far as his personal code and his personal decorum and his lifestyle. He's still living as if he is a Marine.
We never lose that.
My dad retired. You know, he's been retired forever. He never loses his Air Force bearing. There are certain things that I learned that I never stopped doing. There are certain courtesies that I no longer need as a civilian, but that I developed as a soldier. That I always once you learn those disciplines, they generally stay with you. There are certain things like you would never if you're with a woman, if you're walking up to a door with a woman. You would never let her open the door for you. You know, even if it's you open the door, pull the seat out. There's just certain things that when you're you just bearings and stuff that disciplines that you live around that you never really lose. You know, like I said, I know. And when you're having conversations with former military, a lot of times you can tell that they're former military just by the cadence and the way that they speak. And you know, it's just there's certain things that are like dead giveaways.
Yeah.
You know, me, I wear a hat, but even without this hat, people could spot me easily.
Well, I mean, I get spotted in a lot of guys. And I wasn't even enlisted. I've just been around soldiers, you know, enough of my life that I can spot like, oh, I bet this guy's you know done at least like been in at least like 8-10 years.
Yeah, you never really lose that shit once you learn it.
From Anthony William. This is where I disagree with you. If Miles comes into live action with the disasters that Morbius, Madam Web, and Craven were, I think Marvel wants to have full control of Miles.
No. A, Marvel doesn't have a choice. That would be solely up to Sony. And B, those things that you mentioned were not Miles Morales projects. All the Miles Morales projects have been handled by Lord Miller, and they've been handled expertly. They've won an Academy Award for their work on Miles Morales. So there's nobody that could probably do him better than the people that have already done. You can't, just because those movies were under Sony, they weren't under Lord Miller. So there's no comparison there. They've done the work to develop. Miles Morales is at the popularity he is now cinematically because of those individuals. They did not work on Madam Web. They did not work on Morbius. So you can't make that comparison.
I still can't believe, you know, and it came out, like I think it was like right around when Craven came out, that the whole time they had Sony, it was never forbidden to them to put, you know, a Spider-Man in these movies, and they just said, nah, we're fine.
Well, because those guys are scared of their own shadow. They
Yeah.
have their heads up so far up Marvel Studios' ass that they no longer believe that they can do anything. So that's the way they. When you know, scared money doesn't make money. So when you're doing these things and you're making a movie and you're making a bold step, but you're too scared because of what they've done in Marvel Studios, then that's how you get Madam Web. That's how you get Morbius. But when you make your product and you have faith in it, that's how you get into the Spider-Verse. That's how you get across the Spider-Verse. That's, you know, it's all about the mentality. They're not scared to use Spider-Man. The other guys are.
I got a couple more here from Anthony William. Are there modern stories for the Punisher that have him more as a veteran of current wars like Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom? I think there are.
Yeah,
I think
I'm pretty sure that when they retcon Marvel, I think maybe after Secret Wars, he's no longer a Vietnam veteran. He is he's an Iraqi war veteran, and I think it's been further revised to he's part of OIF 3.
Yeah,
that's those are the things that don't, you know, because there's a lot of guys who went through stuff in OIF 1, 2, and 3 and 4 that could line up just fine.
And also from Anthony William, in terms of the cadence and the way they speak, is there a way you can tell the difference between if they were a veteran of the Navy, Army, Marine Corps, or Air Force?
Certain phrases. Like if I hear somebody say, you know, we're talking about a common shopping place, and they say, "Well, I can get it cheaper at the BX," I know they're Air Force.
Yeah,
if they say PX, I know they're Army. Yeah, and then a Navy has a couple of different ones. But a lot of it is going to be the attitude of a Marine is it's a very competent and very bold, very up front because of the infantry nature that they are. So it's for me, it's easier to there are certain things that an infantry is, like an 11 Bravo and a Marine. That's the only time I get them confused. But there are certain things and disciplines that they have that just come across in their personality in a positive way that you can be like, okay, cool. I can tell. Now, I won't necessarily be able to tell your MOS, something like that, but I can kind of tell that, okay, you've been in some type of organization where there was discipline. And then we go from there.
You got another one here from Anthony. It's military related. William, so are you saying Marines are arrogant, or would you say that's more of the Air Force flyboys?
No, they're competent, and it's an earned competence. When you're a Marine, you're first of all, when you're in the military period, you're part of the 1% of everybody that's ever going to live in the country. So right there, no matter what service you're in, you're literally only 1% of the country has ever served in the military. So now you're talking about Marines, which are the smallest armed force under the Department of the Navy. Then that's why they say the few, the proud, the Marines. They're proud, and they're rightfully proud. They are a highly focused, highly trained, highly disciplined military standard. So I wouldn't say arrogance. I would just say disciplined.
And they had that awesome commercial with the dude, in the Marine, fights the big lava monster with a sword. It's the few, the proud, the Marines. I remember seeing that all the time
Wow,
Oh, finally name drop the Punisher here. See, Aaron says if they end up doing a live action Miles Morales Spider-Man, they have to be careful with the casting. Make sure they cast a Afro-Latino, not just be lazy and cast an African American.
There are some guys who are completely 100% African American that can play those roles. A light-skinned black person. There's a lot of just pure that non-Latino that can learn Spanish, that can learn manners, that can learn the language and everything else. That could do that just fine. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a must, because whoever you cast is literally going to, you're paying that person to be something that they are not.
Like,
if they get somebody that fits those qualifications right out of the back, that's fine. But I don't think that's 100% necessary. You know what I mean? That's like when RJ was telling me that they need to get a Jewish person to play the Thing, and they ended up getting a Jewish person to play the Thing. But once again, that James Caan played a Sicilian in Godfather. Al Pacino played a Cuban in Scarface. So you're literally paying these people to be something else. So, hey, if they get one, that's great. If that just works out that way, but I don't know if it's necessarily a prerequisite. What are you gonna say, Brad?
Oh no, I was just asking like Shamik Moore, like I was because him voicing Miles, like what's his background? I'm actually pulling him up right here. His his family's from Jamaica originally, so but no, there's no like Afro-Latino background.
But you know what? But like I said, you can get someone that looks like me. That can play. I mean, you go to his mom is Puerto Rican, I think. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans that kind of look like William. So now does that person speak Spanish? Can he do it? Can he do all the stuff that Miles does? So I think they'd be right. I mean, like I said, I think we forget some of the greatest movies of all time have had people. I don't think Marlon Brando was Sicilian. Like I said, Sonny Corleone. James Caan was Irish German, so he played a Sicilian just fine. Now it's different than if it's an Asian character, obviously there are characteristics that you cannot go around. You have to get an Asian person if you want from that. That's just really hard to do. But
when it's Afro Latino. If you didn't know that about Miles Morales, you wouldn't know that by looking at him. You'd know it by his mother, but if you don't meet his parents, you know, you would think, hey.
I love this where he has to go and get the cowl repaired, but he's like he's keeping himself in the shadows with the hoodie on, and I always really love this kind of relationship they play with his armorer, you know, where it's like, you know, he's still gonna have to keep it, you know, it's not like Alfred, you know, it's not like you know, it's not like Batman and Alfred, where he's still gonna maintaining arm's length, but but it's like, okay, I can make you a new cowl, but right now he's gonna have to kind of roll the dice with the one he's got with the crack in it, and that plays into the next episode and kind of the look that it has that we're gonna see here. Aaron says, I know it's a bit annoyed when they cast an African American to play Bishop in X-Men when he's an Indigenous Australian.
Is he okay? There are certain black actors that are passable for that, though. You know what I mean? Michael Dorn. Look at Michael Dorn without the Worf makeup. Michael Dorn has features that he could pass for a European. I mean, it just depends on the actor. You know what I mean? But in like Miles Morales' case, though, Miles Morales be played by a black person, Afro-Latino. I mean, you have a lot of leeway there. Because like I said, I'm Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican and black. The dominant gene is going to be the black gene, the African American gene. Just like Barack Obama, his mother is white, his father was black. Widely considered the first black president because of the dominant features that you see when you see one of us. So it's going to be interesting, Aaron. I think I don't think you can go wrong as long as you get the best actor and the best actor that looks the part to somewhat. But if he starts rolling off, when he interacts with his mom, he does in the cartoon, he starts rolling off Spanish and stuff like that. Because like I said, most people that pick up Miles Morales, before they start picking him up, that's a black Spider-Man. Now you start reading into the character, you start to learn his background, which is, But like I said, I think they'll be all right. Like I said, I just don't want Miles Morales thrown into the marble salad that does not need him, and he doesn't need it. You don't need the MCU to make Miles Morales a strong character. Lord and Miller have already shown you that. And yes, animation is different from live action, but storytelling is storytelling. I was as compelled with Miles Morales' story in live action as I am in animation. All right, guys, I'll be right back.
All right. Which, by the way, guys, give you a little timestamp. We are in season 2, episode 2, Dogs to a Gunfight. Right now, timestamp is 35 minutes exactly. really, we're about 10 minutes away from starting episode 3. That is because as William said, that's where the Punisher really fully comes into play for anybody who hasn't seen the show yet. So I'm really excited for everybody to see that episode who hasn't, because that's probably my favorite episode, or one of my favorite episodes of the show, and definitely my favorite episode this season. Yeah, Frank leaves no stone unturned.
And this is another one of these episodes, and I completely understand. It's hard to watch these sometimes. It's so dark. I can't see shit. I cannot.
I mean,
that
changes in the next episode.
Yeah, but it's like a good half of this overall show, especially the first season. Dude, you can't. You're like, dude, I see some eyes.
But I understand why. So it's not,
Your feedback on your mic is coming through, Brad.
Okay, I'll mute myself.
You've got mail.
Look at it. He's not trying to grab his pants.
But I had to hop on here to
And round two.
Okay, now you know why he doesn't want cops, by the way. All right.
Alrighty,
Into the
episode
next
3. Here we go.
episode. Let me get it lined up here. Disney Plus. All right. Oops. Oh, push the wrong button. All right. I'm ready when you are.
All right. We got down 3, 2, 1, go. Season 2, episode 3, New York's Finest. Anthony has a question. Has Marvel destroyed the Hulk so far behind here that he won't be able to be rehabilitated after Secret Wars, William?
What was that question?
Has Marvel destroyed the Hulk so far behind your pair that you won't be able to be rehabilitated after Secret Wars?
It's possible.
Yeah, I think he's definitely gotten worse and worse since from like after Avengers. I mean, the Hulk's trajectory has really just gone down.
I forgot that this episode starts off with this conversation.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Actually, I'll be right back. Aaron says, anxious, I hope Sony doesn't give Miles Morales to Disney Marvel. That would be a nightmare. I think it's a typo.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah,
She also says the whole.
I'm hoping that even if it does happen, it's Lord and Miller that are in charge of it. So
I mean, I would think so.
dude,
Braden says, I think the Hulk was in his prime in Avengers and in Age of Ultron. And he also asks William Brad, what did you think of the Hulk in Thor Ragnarok? In my opinion, he's one of my favorite parts of that
joke.
movie.
I thought the whole movie was a joke.
I mean, it's better than what he was in in She-Hulk, Huh. So he thinks Thor Ragnarok's the best Thor film. I mean, it's a low bar. I mean, Thor's best moments are when he's in the Avengers movies so far, which is really kind of unfortunate. All right, and here we begin. Yeah, I remember like when this episode dropped, like this was the this has had everybody talking so much about just this this rooftop debate between them, because this is like the foundation of the episode is them just bouncing their philosophies off of each other up here. This is another detail they add here that I like. Frank, when he's suturing his own wound, he doesn't take painkillers. He doesn't take any anesthesia. That is actually something canonical from him in comics wise, that he avoids painkillers. Yeah, I did too, Aaron. I think it's very underrated, but also I understand why people who don't like it. I get why they don't, because it's very surreal. It's a very specific take on the Hulk. I've always kind of likened it to, it's like Marvel's equivalent to Batman Returns. So I get it, but I really like it.
Hey, do you have something on next to the mic? Because it's going, it's written. That's something that turn it off. I mean, just obviously if that's it. We're trying to figure out what it is.
Kind of figure out a little bit. It was
Okay.
that it. Okay, so you guys get to see me, I guess, kind of here in the.
That was it.
All right, so now you get a little bit like Brad, like Aaron now, or it's like I'm like
Okay.
Zordon, like against the blue here.
Oh yeah, with the Zordon.
Yeah.
Come to me, my Power Rangers.
Yeah, William was telling me I was getting some feedback. We figured, I guess it was I have a lamp like right. You can't see it from this angle, but it's right. It's right
Still
above
hear
my
it.
here. Say again. You still here?
I can still hear it a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, here.
I got the TV on over here. And
It's like, do you have your head? Do you have your headpiece? Where's your microphone at? Where is that maybe?
it's right here, right here.
I don't know if there's an adjustment you can make to it. It's just what I got.
Was it better than it was?
No, it's less than it was, but it's still picking up something.
It's weird. I mean, the only other thing I got to do is my ceiling fan.
Try that.
Okay, just a second.
It's entertaining. We're figuring out how live on the air where the buzz is coming from.
All right, is that better?
No, it's still there. It's got to be the headset and the mic.
It's weird. And I might need to break out this
It's
other
gotta
one.
be.
That,
You turned
that
off
Reyes-
everything.
Might need to break out that other one that
Yeah,
Reyes
try
sent me
switch
for-
it up a little bit.
Well, I haven't even set that one up yet, so I still need to kind of figure that one out. So I might need to save that for next time. So
Okay.
might need to kind of swap through it tonight.
Where's the ones that you're wearing now? Where did you get those from?
Reyes sent these to me.
Oh, okay. She sent you different ones. All right, cool.
Yeah, she sent me these, and she sent me a mic, which I still have. I just haven't been using my headset ever since she sent this to me.
Oh, she sent you the ASU one. Yeah, that's the one I have. Yeah. Switch to that one. That one.
All right. I still need to kind of figure that one out, so I'll switch that for next time. Let's see what else we got. It's got Incredible. I like the Incredible Hulk movie. I like that a lot. I think it's their most underrated in the MCU. I do think it is weird though with Brave New World, because again, there's so much that ties back into that. If you haven't seen Brave New World yet, there's a lot that ties back into that, but it's like 17 years later.
Yeah, I thought that was a mistake because of the fact that not very many people saw that movie, and you're harkening back using your mainline MCU character to harken back to a movie that not very many people have seen.
Yeah,
and that's 17 years ago.
And I think it's underrated, but again, it's like but I mean, Mark Ruffalo, his iteration of the Hulk is kind of the definitive one when it comes to the MCU right now. So again, them using that as kind of like the de facto like Incredible Hulk 2 is like it's a really weird storytelling choice. And the leader, I did not like the leader. I thought the leader was not handled well.
It's kind of wasted. Brayden, I could go along with whatever happening. I don't think it's necessary for Miles Morales to grow as a character being in the MCU. I think the strength of Miles Morales' character is that the tight knit circle of friends that he has around him, the other Spider people, Gwen, those people like that. I don't think this character needs to be tossed into the MCU salad. The MCU doesn't need him. And he doesn't need the MCU to thrive. You would just be doing it to do it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Sony can't do anything right. If they pick their knuckles off of the ground and realize that there's different levels of Sony that handle these projects, the people that are handling Miles Morales have handled him right. So if it ever does happen to where he goes to MCU, they need to restructure that deal to where Sony's creatives are the ones that have the last word. They do now with the Spider-Man, but I want Lord Miller to be the creative force behind Miles Morales, no matter where he is. If they keep Lord Miller on board wherever he goes, I think he'll be fine. But if they try to do the Spider Iron Boy Jr. shit again, I'm going to be disgusted.
Aaron has a theory about the whole feedback on my audio. It could be something supernatural, cause it sound like an EVP type situation. Maybe it's like maybe it's just
driving me crazy.
Maybe it's just me just still being getting over being sick. Maybe that's what it is. Because
I think something happened with your computer
You must have updated your drivers. The drivers might
Yeah,
not be
I need-
consistent
and
with the headset you're on right now.
And I need to like start because I got a new laptop for Christmas, so it's like I need to really start streaming. I didn't mean it to. It's like made that like my main like streaming computer, so I need to start doing that in the future. And it's good.
It's definitely a mic interference. Yeah, it's definitely a mic interference. The mic's picking up ambient things that it shouldn't be picking up. That usually means the drivers are not updated or something's going on.
I really dig that he the nickname that he gives it's such a Punisher way to put it. Like he calls him Red. His nickname for him is Red. Like Bernthal like really kind of captures the personality so much of Frank Castle, and that's like that's I remember seeing this the first time. It's like, yeah, that's something he would say. It's like he would call him Red, or like he would call Spider-Man Webs, or he would call like Wolverine Claws or something like that. That because that's kind of his lingo. And Braden asked you the Punisher get his own revival show. I think he will. I think that's a given. I think it's a given. I think it's absolutely. I'd be surprised if they don't. And I think probably because again the fact they're calling it Born Again to kind of like even though it is the de facto season 4, the fact that it is being presented as like a new beginning. I think that it's like for like any of the other Netflix characters, they'll probably like give like a similar kind of like title where it's like it's not just Punisher, it's not just Daredevil. They'll kind of put like a spin on it that's comics related. And I think there's two perfect ones for Punisher to do that with. It'd be Punisher War Journal or it'd be Welcome Back Frank. So I think it'd probably be really cool to kind of call that for like his revival series. But yeah, I think that's a given. I think he's definitely going to be.
It would definitely be War Journal.
You think so?
Here, this fight up here is pretty. This is one of the key signature battles here.
Oh yeah, again, that's what made this episode so great. Was again just this philosophical back and forth between them, and again the fact that it was so.
Where are you at? I'm at the fight. I'm at the hallway.
Oh no, you're already at the end fight.
What's your timestamp?
Oh, I'm at 17:03.
Hold on, because my computer.
You can't possibly already be at the end fight.
Yeah, it hold on. Pause for a second.
All right. Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to like not go gaga over that fight when we get to it.
Hold on.
How's it going, Drogon? Yeah. This.
All right, where you at? Where you at? 17 what?
17, 18.
Okay, something mine jumped way ahead. I'm like, why the fuck?
Yeah, I jumped to like the end of the episode.
All right, I am there.
All right, here we go. Yeah, Aaron. This, like I said, when season 2 dropped, I mean, this was like it was a big thing. Like a lot of people were zeroing in on. There's like a moment that really stood out was the just this rooftop debate between Frank and Matt. It was a big, and again the fact that this episode it's like 90% dialogue and then you get like this big action scene at the end. That's what made it one of like the highlight episodes of season 2. And in fact, let me go ahead real quick, pull this up. Just pulling this up for you guys. I had this published on combo.com recently. 7 Daredevil episodes you need to rewatch before Born Again premieres. We have already watched 2 of them in season 1. Those are Cutman and Daredevil. And the third one I went with is the one we're watching right now. Is New York's Finest, season 2, episode 3. That's what this is. The rooftop debate, the rooftop philosophical treatise between Frank Castle and Matt Murdock that also culminates in this season's epic one-shot fight scene that is very reminiscent of something. So we'll wait till we get there, Aaron, before we the two martial arts nerds really go nuts over it. Oh, fourth. You're a little bit behind, man. No, we are right in the we're watching episode 3 right now. We are at 1930 on episode 3.
I canceled my order because I saw that when I didn't see it again. I thought it was all right. Yeah, because I ordered ink for this printer that is the only I brought in. I can't go into real simple shit. No, I haven't looked at the Amazon thing yet because it says 4 hours after you actually scan the barcode. So what time did you guys do it? Okay.
No, yeah, you get plenty of that of both in this episode, Aaron. Absolutely. Again, just wait for it when we get to the we got the dialogue right now. Wait the last 10 minutes or so when we get to the action part. I guarantee you it delivers. Take care, y'all. William, you don't take care. Okay. Oh, I agree, Aaron. Yeah, I agree. This could be like a Daredevil and Punisher stage production. William Anthony's got a couple questions here. Brad, do you think that's the reason why when comic book fans talk about the Punisher and John Stewart's version of Green Lantern, they say they have no personality and are very bland? I don't think so.
Hello?
I don't think either of them are bland.
No, it's not.
Oh, because they're both Marines? Nah.
I didn't know they were not going to say that. I thought that. The basic stuff. I mean, not, all the.
By the way, if you listen really closely there, we got a little bit of an F-bomb there from Frank.
Fuck.
Aaron says, man, Broadway shouldn't have done a Spider-Man musical. They should have done a Daredevil musical.
Are you at the point where she's in his office?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It's not the Disney Plus. The time thing has gone away.
I mean, they might have gotten fewer people hurt that way, Aaron. Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I mean, he was very ambitious. I mean, but it's kind of like its reach kind of exceeded its grasp. I mean, I applaud the ambition on that. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, they really shot for the moon with that. I mean, hats off to them for trying. Brad, were you surprised when you watched the series and there was this great dialogue boost? No. I mean, after season 1, nah, I total faith that it was going to be like great action, great dialogue, great characters, great everything. Yeah, season 1 was like, you got me. I have total faith in everything you're doing, Daredevil. Foggy really knows how to de-escalate the situation. I don't know what it is with Disney Plus. Sometimes I watch some of their shows. They have a glitch sometimes where it jumps forward a few minutes. Yeah, not a lot with me, but it has happened here and there. But sometimes I'll have it on streaming. Aaron, we are about 10 minutes away from something that is very much like the raid.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you to this is a challenge.
Well, I'm already going to fail.
Let's do the hold on. Let's get with the reality that almost nobody who's watching the show is going to know what that is. I'm going to challenge you to express your delight for this fight scene in a way that like
Okay,
99.9% of the population is
can I
going
compare
to
it to Enter the Dragon then? How about that?
Sure. At least
Hell's
they
Kitchen,
know who Bruce Lee is.
Hell's Kitchen Hospital is one hefty place to go. Heaven help you if you need to go. Yeah, well, definitely in the Daredevil continuity. And that is a dilemma. I'll kill him if you don't kill me first. That's a really slow-mo bullet shot there. All righty, it's coming up here, Aaron. And actually, William, the cover I was referencing, that's coming up here in a minute here too. I'll pull it up real quick. Yeah, we got a shot coming up here of Matt holding the gun that's taped to his hand. That is clearly a reference to this of Daredevil 184. Yeah, this is a total. That shot right there is a total reference to that. And here it goes, our obligatory Daredevil one-shot hallway smackdown that is inspired heavily by Indonesian action movie called Merantau. It's so cool too when on the Daredevil one-shot fights, like, because you always know, like, you get 10 seconds and you realize, yep, this is the one. This is it. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. The one they're going to do in Born Again. And this one again, and they step it up big time because it's going from like a hallway to a stairwell, and he has to fight like 3 times as many opponents. I think he's in the Daredevil suit. He's got a gun taped to one hand and a chain shackled to another. So there's obstacles and advantages that are added into it. Yeah. It's like, get over here, and Scorpion there. I do kind of question right there the way he pulls that one guy down. Whether that guy it's like, okay, you don't want to kill anybody, but it's like, I don't know, that guy, you're kind of rolling the dice on whether or not that guy would have lived. He did, but you can never be too sure. That's what I said first time I saw this, Aaron. Yep.
Okay, your feedback has stopped, so you must have done something that.
Yeah, Aaron. Like I pointed out that one part where he like grabs the one guy around the neck with the chain and pulls him down the staircase. It's like I do kind of question, like, okay, it's like you don't want to kill anybody, but it's like that guy. It's like you're kind of rolling the dice on whether that guy would have survived that fall. He did. You kind of got lucky there, but
Yeah, your feedback issues have stopped.
that's good. Meanwhile, this fight scene is like so reminiscent of what's it called again? I said it was Merantau. This is one Indonesian action movie
That nobody has ever seen, so let's stick to Daredevil.
It also has like shades of Enter the Dragon and some Best of the Best and so many Ong Bak and like all these other great martial arts influences. This actually is it's kind of like a little this part of it's kind of like a little bit of like a bonus fight scene because they're not doing the one shot part of it anymore, but it's like it's still basically connected to the stairwell fight.
Where are you at timestamp wise?
I am at where am I at? 45:02.
Okay, my this Disney's glitching right now. It's still showing it where we're at, but it's not giving me the little indicator thing is off.
I love this. I love that they gave him that chain for this fight scene. I love that he had that chain for the stairwell fight.
That chain's doing some shit that chains don't generally do though. That's like a weird, like a magic chain, man.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a little bit like halfway like Ghost Rider, and like he's a little bit like Scorpion. Get over here and pulls the guy down the staircase.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a perfect way to punctuate that fight scene too. You know, good old patented Daredevil backflip. And see, that's by this point, like after this point, you know, whenever we saw this episode, that's the point where it was like, okay, now it's a staple of Daredevil to have the one shot, you know, hallway fight scenes. So I'm really, 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 really interested in like what Born Against is going to look like.
Oh, the feedback is back. Damn it.
Oh shit. Well, maybe only got a couple seconds of this episode left anyway. Okay, this is cool too because it's foreshadowing. I mean, the skull X-ray. I mean, come on, it's like you can't be more obvious like what you're foreshadowing with the Punisher there.
It's a cool shot.
Yeah. Alrighty, and that is the first 3 episodes of Daredevil season 2. Everybody.
All right, guys. We will reconvene. When do you want to do it again? You want to give it a shot tomorrow night, or how do you want
to? If you want to, man.
All right, yeah, let's give it a shot tomorrow night. Probably do 1 or 2 episodes, and then that'll put us 5 episodes, just under halfway through this first season, which puts us on track to finish this season by the end of this week.
Yep. Yeah. This is also somewhat that was a little bit of like the POV Doom feel to it. Yeah, the foreshadowing with the skull. Yep, and that definitely you will see more of that throughout the season.
All right, guys. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the broadcast if you like it. For those of you who are this is your first time, we have other streams that we've done. The entire first season is already in the books, and this is the first 3. So if you're just finding us now, you can go back and start with those episodes. We've kind of made those friendly enough to where you do not have to be watching them live to enjoy them. So on that note, we'll most likely see you tomorrow with episodes 4 and 5, or at least 4 for sure tomorrow night. So keep an eye on the notifications, and we will see you tomorrow night, most likely. Unless I get sick or sidetracked. Bye.
Thank you.